when I'm working with somebody else in the studio, it's about finding what makes them shine and putting a magnifying glass on that. Really and truly, I feel like any creator really, but especially in music, it's just about chasing that fuck yeah feeling. That's all it is. It's an energy. It's a feeling, right?
Wow.
So
if you can give us a little something, just an introduction about yourself, a little quick one.
Little quick intro.
Yeah.
I mean, damn. That's tough. Yo, music has been in my life since like before I could walk. So
That's
I've been very blessed that like in diapers I was running around the house playing air guitar, no lie. You know? And yeah, I'm just very blessed that I, grew up playing piano and drums, taught myself the guitar. And it all really changed in one summer. I was probably like 12 years old. Music, I mean,
you can learn anywhere.
Music school, first of all, it's not for everyone. And with the internet being where it's at now, finding that information is so readily available.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful because misinformation is out there just as much, if not more, than the truth.
Exactly.
So if you just focus on putting in the work, being great, small incremental improvements every day, eventually your name's going to create a buzz. And
what's going on, AFRODIASPO Nation, man? We're back again with another sensational episode, man. We are live, but I'm always going to keep reminding you guys, if you haven't known yet, continue to subscribe to the channel, man. Click the button down below. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any guests that come on this show. We love to talk about anything that's going to educate people. So this is what it's all about, man. AFRODIASPO Podcast. And feel free to tell a friend to subscribe to the channel and not miss out. And if you want to be able to talk on this part of this episode too, hit up OC Music on Instagram, where you're going to be booked. And then you have a chance to chat with us here and take a lead on what's going to happen to the world and how you're going to put your impact in the world, man. So that's what leaders all about. But anyways, man, you know the drill, man. We're about to go into the hot list of the week. And I'll bring you guys my guy. You know what I'm saying? Major. What's up, my guy?
What's up, BK?
What's up? Welcome back to another
He wasn't sensational today, right?
You know what I'm saying? It's been a long week, though. It's been a long week. So sometimes we gotta keep you humble a little bit.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But it's gonna be sensational anyway, so don't miss out on this one because the guest of tonight will be sensational. For sure. Okay. Hot list, Major. What's up?
Once again, for the hot lists, this week is gonna be packed. Not even the week, actually, it's the month that's going to be packed. Jordan C is preparing a live show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think
that surprised me.
Not only you, man. Everybody's gonna be surprised because he's.
I did see he mentioned this announcement. Is this announcement?
Yes.
He had an announcement to make.
Yes.
Today,
I don't know if that's the one.
Okay.
But he has a show. He has a live show, and we have to start talking about it.
Okay.
Because he's gonna be singing live. With the band, playing behind him. So that's beautiful. Seeing a hip hop artist, playing live, it's kind of beautiful. And it's exciting.
I can't wait, my guy. I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
No auto tune that day.
Taka wanapata. Hey, let's go.
No auto tune that day. Okay, number 2, we got Major Mugisho with the song. A new song is coming up now. I'm waiting for you. There's a new song called Hallelujah that is coming out soon.
It is packed, bro.
Yeah, so it's going to be this week. That song is already done. Mixing, mastering is done. Everything is done.
Beautiful.
And we have Baraka with a new song called Spot On.
Oh, wow.
Baraka had a song called Focus, and it's still running right now. But there's a new song called Spot On. And it's a banger. This one is, I respect this song.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. I don't even know why.
I can't wait to release that one for sure.
Why it took too long,
It did. But we had to re-jump and do some other stuff. We don't want to disappoint people. We just want to feed people more with a lot of good stuff. So
yeah,
that's why, man.
I wish we get to the point where we would just be doing a song in a day, we finish it and we release. Why not?
Why not, man?
Why not?
You'll get there.
Maybe it's the timing, So AZ1 Uno has a song called Don't Let Me Go. Mm-hmm. But again, I saw him announcing today that he's releasing a new song called I Believe. I don't know what he's believing in. Maybe it's life, but I believe it's coming. So,
okay.
Yes. So that's what we have for this week.
Lovely, man. What a hot week, man. Actually a hot month. What a hot month.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out yet, man, go ahead and reach out to OC Music on Instagram. You'll see all the details and what you missed out on this show. It'll be available there. But what a week we have, man. What a month we have. A lot of releases coming up. So cannot wait for that. And if you have your project you're working on with, make sure you guys reach out on us and then you're going to promote it out here. As we already have 2 books, lovely books that you can reach on.
Just a small precision for Jordan C's show. It's going to be on the 29th of June. And that's going to be in downtown, I think. Baltimore Cabaret, something like that. Yeah, so it's going to be downtown. Anyways, you're going to see the poster. But it's going to be on the 29th of June. So tune in and come to the show and watch somebody performing live music. He told me I'm not going to do any playback. It's live, not auto-tune.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Okay. Well, we love it, man. Shout out to Jordan C, man. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. And follow him on Instagram so you can see where he's performing and he's going to be, sharing your details with that. Without further ado, we will welcome the guest of tonight. You know what I'm saying? It's about that time. Man. Let's get to the business. Let's get to the time, man. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a magnetic force in the world of hip-hop who's absolutely motivated with his electric talent that he's going to be pulling out here. We got the guy with the name of AARO. That's not his full name, though, but that's a name you need to know and you need to remember.
That's the artist
AARO,
name.
My brother, welcome to the show, man.
Yo, thank you guys so much for having me, man.
It's been a pleasure, my guy, man. It's good to see you here. You're looking fresh. You're looking ready to give people what they want.
Hey, I had to match the energy. You guys always seem to bring it.
We love it, man. We love it. Hey, well, that's the thing, though. The energy, whenever you come to this building right here, that's the energy you always want to look for. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who is bright, somebody who is ready to give us a show.
Respect,
and represent themselves really good too, man. So welcome to the show, man. We want
to
get to know you a little bit today. You know what I'm saying? What you got to tell the people about you. So we will always want to dive into that as a tradition for this show. I always want to ask people, you know what I'm saying, where they came from, their life, how they started, and how you got about to get into music. So if you can give us a little something, just an introduction about yourself, a little quick one.
A little quick intro?
Yeah.
I mean, damn. That's tough. Yo, music has been in my life since like before I could walk. So I've been very blessed that in diapers I was running around the house playing air guitar, no lie. Wow. And I'm just very blessed that I, grew up playing piano and drums, taught myself the guitar. And it all really changed in one summer. I was probably like 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
And my dad's a school music teacher. And this summer, he brought home a MacBook, like the white ones, the old school, fat as hell, not like the new nice ones.
Tiny ones.
But he brought home this MacBook for the summer, and I discovered GarageBand and just kind of, I was already really musical and loved to play the drums and the piano. Yeah. And then that kind of just introduced a whole new world for like what I could do
with music
on the keys, on the drums, and the rest is history. So
you're like, wow, this is magic, man. This is something.
I started playing around with those Apple loops, and here we are. So
that's beautiful. Yeah. And ever since that day, you wanted to start building stuff for yourself, or you wanted to start working other people right away? Like, how did that?
Man, it was just about creating music and chasing that vibe. Like, really and truly, I feel like any creator really, but especially in music, it's just about chasing that fuck yeah feeling. That's all it is. It's an energy. It's a feeling, right?
Wow.
So
that's how we talk about here. That's how, like, when you're in the process of releasing your music, you look at yourself, you're like, this is good.
Exactly. Is it giving me that fuck yeah vibe or no? And like, did it at one point and now we're here and it's not? Maybe I need to go back to the drawing board, go back to when it was giving me that feeling, and you know. So.
Can you pull your mic so we can hear you properly? We want to hear that microphone, you know, that warmth.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That is true. Speaking of, you know, giving that fuck yeah feeling, when you're making your music or you're producing your music, is it a different feeling as in producing somebody else?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you aim for the same exact result as making music?
No, I think that would be like, I don't want to go as far to say it would be disrespectful, but each creative has their own essence and their own process, right? So when I'm getting in the studio for my own music, I know what I like, and I'll approach that session in a way that pertains to me and my likes, or, you know, keeping my dislikes out, right? So when I'm working with somebody else in the studio, it's about finding what makes them shine and putting a magnifying glass on that, right?
That's deep. So I like that one right there.
It's really important to kind of, I'm just there. And if I'm sitting in the producer engineer chair, I'm just there to help complement whatever they're bringing to the session.
That's funny because we heard that a lot too. Yeah, with the past producers. That's like, I feel like it's the same mindset that you all have. You know, like,
I mean, as a producer, I'm gonna bring my own flair. As an engineer, I have my own way of doing things. I'm not just, and the reason I say producer as opposed to beat maker, even if I didn't produce the beat, I'm still in there giving tips. Oh, this line, there were too many syllables, or maybe it's a little too corny and we need to like rewrite some shit, you know? So I try to be really hands-on and not just have them come into the booth and just record and say, okay, you pay hourly, that's it. See you later. Like, no, I want to
believe it or not, some people could be like that though. That's what I'm saying. It's very nice it's nice to always meet producers who are that, you know what I'm saying, open to make somebody better, because some people can just be in for the business. And
oh, for sure. And like, I also...
You trash, do your thing. Do your thing.
I mean, when I was starting out, I didn't have the luxury of saying no.
Yeah.
Right? When you're starting out, you don't necessarily have the luxury of saying no. And I probably quit my job a little earlier than I should have. So music was my only source of income. So it was like, okay, I got to get to this money. But at the same time, it's like, well, I still want to be able to work with people that I appreciate and enjoy, and you know, have that lucid vibe stamp on something that I can also be proud of, right? Didn't always have that luxury though.
Did you go to school for music, or
I did? Yeah. I went to school in 2013, Harborside IT. Shout out Harborside in North Van. It's now called SAE, School of Audio Engineering. But yeah, that was a dope program. Definitely no regrets when it comes to the journey that I took in my music career. But I definitely feel like in 2024, music, I mean,
you can learn anywhere.
Music school, first of all, it's not for everyone. And with the internet being where it's at now, you know, finding that information is so readily available. But you got to be careful, because misunformation is out there just as much, if not more, than the truth. You know? So, between school and finding a good mentor. You know?
I feel like that's also one of the reasons. Do you think that's probably the reason why people try to go to school, because of just that discipline? Some people fail to have that discipline of some pushing themselves to be like, okay, this is my day, I gotta learn this. This is my day, I gotta learn that. At school, you got a program there, you have to follow it.
It definitely helps. Like, if you're not self-motivated and able to make your own schedule, it definitely helps having that structure. Can definitely help with networking as well, and having more people around to ask questions. It's not always easy to just go out and find a mentor, especially if you're like just getting started, right? So school can definitely be good in that regard, you know. the networking, the expertise of having the instructors that hopefully have had some experience working in the industry professionally and not just teach. You know, I do definitely have a lot of respect for people who go into teaching of any medium. You know, what's that saying? It's like those who can't teach. I don't really subscribe to that motto. You know, because in order to teach something, you first have to be able to do it.
You gotta know it for you to teach.
Right? You gotta perfect it.
So, but yeah, definitely got a lot of value from Harborside, and it just kind of helped me realize, like, yo, I can really do this and make this a career, sustainable career, and not just a pipe dream. You know.
That's beautiful, because like that, my question would be like, for those who just probably want to get started, they have no idea what to do, where to go. Would you encourage them? The schools has to be that first step to take in order to at least build a foundation, or you can literally start it from just visiting a studio and go from there?
I would say, like, school absolutely does not have to be your first start, but education of some form. For sure.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like formal education of going to school, paying tuition, but like get on YouTube, get a masterclass subscription and check out like, Timbaland and Pharrell are on there, and, you know, get into rooms where people are doing what you want to do and rub shoulders with them and ask them questions and, you know, build relationships. It's really important, you know, but it's not absolutely necessary. You know, I recently heard something, I think I was listening to Audible, maybe it was Atomic Habits or something like that, and they were essentially saying that, you know, networking is overrated, and everyone's trying to network and say, oh, look how great I am, or, you know, help me get to where I'm trying to be. If you just focus on putting in the work, being great, small incremental improvements every day, eventually your name's going to create a buzz. And
like that. I'll tell you,
you know,
I need to hear that. As many people need to hear that too.
You got to work like it's up to you, but pray like it's up to God, you know?
Thanks. Wow. We're going to go, let's dive to Major real quick. The people need to see our face again. It's been a long time since you hit that hot list. So you gotta make sure you go on the camera again.
We actually are blessed to have you on the show. I feel like we're gonna go deeper into so many things, like especially technical stuff. And my first question would be though, you have a father who is a college professor, right?
No, he actually grade school teacher. So like high school, he started at high school teaching, and then
in music,
now he teaches
right?
in elementary.
In music.
And,
yeah. So do you think your inspiration of, first of all, of music in general came from there? And also from that encouragement, because, you know, if your father is doing it, then you got that encouragement. Some kids that have parents who are doing something else, sometimes it's hard to tell the parent, I want to do music, right?
For sure.
Like, oh, what is that? You want to become a hooligan.
Yeah.
So I want to know if that was pushed you into that inspiration of becoming a musician, and also if that's the one that encouraged you to go to college.
You know, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to my family, but as for most of us, right?
Yeah.
But firstly, I just want to say, like, thank you. I feel really blessed to be here as well. It's always a awesome feeling to get to,
you know, for sure,
share my truth and share a bit of my story, and in the hopes to inspire others as well. Definitely having music in my house from such an early age, there's no doubt about it that, like,
it did play a big impact, right?
I wouldn't be here without it, right?
Yeah.
So super, super grateful and blessed to get into music at the early age I did. You know, my parents would be spinning records, and before I could even talk, like I said, I was grabbing a little play wooden hockey stick and playing air guitar on that. No lie. And, you know, I got fortunate enough that my parents put me into piano lessons at an early age. I think maybe like 5 or 6 years old, I started playing piano. And that was great. But as a kid, that's nice. It can be really tough to really stay focused and dedicated on something when, for me, so my mom ran a daycare out of our house. So every Tuesday afternoon after school, while all my friends are outside playing in the sunshine, I got to sit down and, what do you mean I can't go outside and play with the homies right now? Like, I got to sit down and play this like classical music that doesn't really resonate with me at the age that I'm at. So it was a bit of a struggle there for sure. I didn't practice at all. I would just go week by week from one session to the next, not touching the keys in between. Wow. And I feel like a lot of that was just, I wasn't playing the music that I necessarily felt like that. You know, I definitely got a lot of value from it. I learned my music theory, right? But I was too young to be able to express at that time that, hey, I want to learn some jazz. I want to play some pop tracks. I want to, you know, branch out and try other things. Instead, I was like, to hell with piano. Like, I just wanna, it doesn't give you nothing. You know what I mean?
I want to play outside with my friends, man.
Right. But now looking back, I'm like, I'm super grateful that I did it. And I actually that's the thing, though. We had a really good family friend who passed away when I was very young, but he, at the time, I thought he was like the best piano player in the world. Turns out he was a little clumsy on the keys. But at the time, I'm young. I just see him doing crazy stuff, and I'm like, yo, I want to be able to do that. And so he was a really big inspiration for keeping me on that path of playing piano. And so when he passed, I was like, okay, I'm gonna at least get to this level before I quit piano lessons.
Okay.
That's so nice. That's beautiful, man.
Him, even after he passed, his inspiration kept me moving forward with piano until I was like, okay, I reached this goal. Now let's, you know, branch out. And then I was able to, you know, I played drums in the school band. And like I said, a lot to unpack with the family. So definitely there was a lot of inspiration and support when it came to music. And I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I've had to this day without having that early start.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah. But if we can go back, I like that you mentioned somebody who inspired you too. Most kids that come to learn piano, because I teach piano too.
Okay.
Yeah, most kids, I'm not talking about those 5 years, you know, I'm talking about somebody who's already 10, you know, 15.
Yeah.
Usually when they come to us for learning, they'll be like, in how long am I going to be able to play? You know, they want to know if it's 3 months. Because when you tell them like, okay, this is going to take you your entire life.
And that's probably only getting worse in 2024, right? Because there isn't that, like, everybody wants that instant gratification now.
That's the thing too, yeah.
Right? It's not like about delayed gratification no more.
That's the thing, yeah.
So
they're not enjoying. It's like they're trying to make it to you know, to get.
I want to be able to play the keys tomorrow. Like, let me order my piano scales on Amazon Prime so they can be delivered to my door tomorrow.
So fast.
But it doesn't work like that, right?
How long do you believe if you can teach my student, particularly, like, okay, this is how long it will take you to at least be able to play?
I mean, I'd be telling them that learning is a lifelong journey.
Thank you.
And there's always going to be room for improvement. As far as really, I guess it boils down to like each person's individual goals, right?
Yes.
If they're wanting to be able to like do some crazy jazz improv, give yourself, like, you shouldn't be looking at anything in the short term. Minimum, I would say like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
5 to 10 years minimum. If you really want to be great at something.
Yeah. 5 to 10
bare
years.
Minimum 10 years.
With practice every day, right?
Just about. Wow. If you're not literally sitting in front of the keys, you're studying your theory or, you know, whatever you can do to, like I said, from the book Atomic Habits, get that 1% increment of improvement every day. Or like one of one of my favorite core values is a Japanese term called kaizen. And it's just continuous improvement.
Wow. Wow. So beautiful. This music thing is beautiful and complicating in some other ways for so many people, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what I want to know right now is we always have people who come to the show and they will say school is, they don't like school. Everybody should learn from YouTube and things like that. But do you believe you would have been where you are right now without school? If you could just take the YouTube road?
It's a good question. Without school, I know that I still would have pursued the same career.
Yeah.
For sure. But I mean, the truth is, if we change anything from our past, we wouldn't be where we are, right?
That's the truth.
So I could be further ahead or I could be further behind as far as, the logistics of where I thought I'd be by now. School worked for me. I will say that. School worked for me in the sense that it opened my eyes up to the industry at large, as opposed to just being a musician, a beat maker, or an artist. It opened me up to, okay, I want to be a CEO.
Because you got the music business too, right?
I wanna not only be able to create music for myself, but now I see that, I can help others bridge that gap between where they are and where they want to be. And that's the whole reason I started Lucid Vibes Entertainment, was literally to just help artists go from where they are to where they want to be. And so that's how I approach every session, is how can I bring the most value to my client, but also how can I help my client bring the most value to their audience? Right?
Yeah.
Nina Simone said, it's an artist's duty to reflect the times.
Wow.
And so
that goes deep.
I really encourage every artist to just...
I'm telling you today.
That goes too deep, man.
So I really just encourage every artist to just speak their own truth,
We need to break that in pieces so people can understand that.
Especially in, right now.
Yeah.
With all that's going on in the world. But it's hard. Sometimes it can be really hard to talk about all the atrocities and the corruption and man, there's a lot of dark stuff going on right now, and a lot of people don't want to listen to that kind of music, right? But I'm just trying to, for me, I want to be a legacy artist.
I love that. I even saw it in the bio in your story, which is why it's got me very curious. Like, what's your message behind your music career? How do you want to impact the world?
It's changed. It's changed a bit over the years. I used to put so much stress and pressure and high standards on myself, and I still do, like, a lot. But I used to put so much pressure on the content within my music that it kind of took away a lot of creative freedom and self-expression.
Wow.
And so now I'm getting back into just like creating for the fun of it. Understanding, yes, there is a responsibility there, but not every single song has to be like world changing, It can still be world changing even if the only world it changes is mine or one other person, So I'm trying to be a lot more lenient with myself and just allow myself to just get in and get back to that passion of the music and take away all of the other pressures and, standards that I've placed on myself, especially being straight white male in hip hop. For sure, I have an added responsibility to talk about, cultural appropriation and culture vultures and make sure that I'm not giving into that, right? So it's definitely something that I keep in mind, and I kind of wish more artists did, because the face of the industry now is like, I mean, let's be honest. Let's get right into it. The beef between Drake and Kendrick is dope. It's entertaining. It's nice to see two heavyweight, elite lyricists go at it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, what is it giving the world?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just,
there you go.
I'd rather see those guys uplift one another.
That's
you know,
the truth.
It's funny. It's really good because one of the guys on one of the shows, Stephen A. Smith, he said the exact same thing about these two because they're both great, very talented musicians.
1,000%.
And there's no reason to go through that, to go through all that thing. But now, as an artist, there, how do you feel like I gotta stop this? Because do you feel like you would lose a battle just because now it's already ongoing? But if you're in the position of Drake or Kendrick, would you feel like if you decide to let go of this thing, will it affect your legacy or will it affect would you feel like you're letting your fans down? Or
I mean, that's something that they obviously both had to consider. And look at like what's happening with J. Cole right now, right? A lot of people are like hating on J. Cole. Oh, it's soft, For me, I see it as integrity. I see it as J. Cole able to step out of his ego.
Yeah.
And unpopular opinion of the day, I think J. Cole won the beef. Yeah. Because he showed us I don't think it's going to tarnish his legacy whatsoever. Him bowing down, deleting that original diss track he made. It doesn't take away from his talent. And he knows that. And that's why he's like, you know what? I'm out. So for me, I don't come from like battle rap background. So I enjoy it, a little bit of fun here and there for sure. If I'm in like a cypher and stuff like that, it can be fun. But personally, for me, it's not why I make music. I'm not here to tear other people down. I'm here to lift them up.
That's beautiful.
So, because that's the question people are always gonna be asking, man. Like, what is music, man? Like, because some people take music as music is just a job, or whatever. But what is really music?
I mean, that's a hella broad question. Music is creation, anything. You can make music right here, right? Like, music is self-expression. Music is, the ability to just express oneself. And music is a journey of self-discovery.
Those are the key words that I'm looking for. Because if people fail to know that, then why are you even doing music?
A lot of clout chasers out here these days, for sure.
Because that's what differentiates them. I feel like you want to like put the difference between you making music for the people, and that's why it's gonna be down. Like you're letting your people down, or you doing music for you and your happiness and impact other people.
It's true.
That's what I feel like. But do you feel like if J. Cole or Drake or Kendrick never had that beef or whatever, will like change the view of music for them or other people? Because if now they're doing the music based on that, or based to support their fans, or to feel like I lost my legacy, do you feel like they're really making music as their passion now, or is it just more like about clout?
I mean, I think
people out.
I think it's safe to say that like both of those artists have established themselves enough that their career is going to sustain no matter what decision they make.
Yeah.
We don't even know if this whole beef was manufactured.
That's what I'm saying. So do you think is a real beef, or is it just because there's speculations that they create this thing just to uplift, give more streams or whatever, or the fans will be like, oh, he won, so this guy's definitely great. He's better than this one, because in terms of their era, I feel like there's also competition. If that's what we want to put it, there's like competition now between them. But
my personal opinion, like, I just kind of plead the fifth and go like, I don't know either of these dudes personally or enough about their relationship with one another to be able to actually accurately tell you whether it was a real beef or not.
Oh, no, yeah.
But with some of the things that, like, I don't know. I don't think that it's all, smoke and mirrors. I think there's definitely some animosity between those artists. And I guess they both felt like they needed to express themselves,
Because there's a guy that I feel like I watched, maybe it was, I think it was the baby, maybe. He came out and say he had somebody reach out to him to start the beef.
They do sometimes.
I've seen some stuff like that.
Yeah, he declined it because he didn't want to ruin his reputation, or he thinks just like it's a real deal to go to.
It boils down to like marketing sometimes, right? It's just like at the end of the day, like the music industry is falling more on the side of like entertainment than necessarily truth.
The truth.
Right.
All the key points you just mentioned earlier, the journey and all that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just for me, right? 8 billion different perceptions out there of what music is to each person.
That's
right?
true.
So.
I could ask Major what music is to you, and you probably come up with a different answer.
The music?
Yeah, than everything.
Well, he's already giving everything.
But that's beautiful, man. Just the fact that you mentioned that it's really beautiful, and that's the beauty of being here, having this podcast, because we want to get to know people and their opinions and how they can impact other people out there. You know what I'm saying, in the world, because people will be tuning in and watching. They want to know why can they start music?
Yeah.
What can they find from AARO today to create their own career as well?
If music is something you're passionate about or brings you joy, run after it. Run after it. That's all I gotta say. Take the pressure off of the outcome and the end result, and just follow what feels the best to you. That would be my advice.
Let me ask you a question. If you're an artist and you be in the game for a minute, and you hit a point where you feel like, man, I'm not going any further, what would you do in that point? If you feel like you're not going any further and you feel like you're stuck somewhere,
just quit.
Do you quit? Or
I don't gotta quit in the bone in my body.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, how long would it take to learn something like piano?
Yeah.
Everything that I get into, I try to look at long term, whether it's relationships in my life, music, working opportunities, anything I get into personally. I'm like, I'm not just out here for like that quick hit of dopamine. Like, let me make sure that this is something that I want to do for a long time, for the rest of my life, if I can, if I'm fortunate enough to. So personally for me, like, I've had that. I've had moments where I'm like, damn, maybe I should just quit. Maybe I should just quit. Maybe like
the heat comes
it
in.
just, we all get up in our heads like that. And like,
no,
nobody cares. Like, why am I even doing this? And that's why it's so important that you have the passion within yourself. Because whether you're making no money at all or, getting rich off this, like, you should be able to do it either way and still feel some level of fulfillment and satisfaction, and understand that feelings are temporary and that's going to come and go. But as long as that passion is like deeply rooted enough, those feelings of joy and satisfaction and purpose are going to come back. Maybe you just got to switch it up. Maybe, try something new, experiment. If you feel like you hit a dead end, reinvent yourself. Or sometimes you got to take a step back from music and go and live your life and gain some more experiences that you can bring back into the studio.
Camera, man. You need to hear that.
Take a step back and let life happen and let life re-inspire you to get back on that mic, get back on the keys, get back into production or whatever it is that you're passionate about, right?
But then we hope you come back, right?
We hope.
We hope you come back, because I know so many people did that, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
Yeah.
Because once you get that into that realm of insecurity, where you feel like, if I go back again, I'm gonna have to quit my job again, and all these things, and the pressure of life, it becomes so difficult to bounce back.
1,000%.
Yeah, but at least
sometimes it's not even insecurity; it's the pressures of the world, of society, of the industry. Look at you. As soon as you said, "Oh, we hope you come back," first person that popped into my head, Lauryn Hill.
Of course,
and she's a prime example of like, I'm sure she still gets in and creates music. More than we will ever know.
Yeah.
She just refuses to subscribe to the pressures of the industry.
Yeah.
And does it strictly for her own joy.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the truth for sure. Wow.
Do you you as AARO, right? Did everything, let's fast forward 10 years from now or 15 years from now. And
I don't want to think about being that old yet, man.
Yeah, we're trying to see how people will feel. You do music for that long, and like you say, you haven't made anything from it or any money from it. Would you feel like you've won in a certain way, or would you feel like it's a failure for you?
I mean, I've definitely had both those moments where I'm like, damn, I'm living in my dream. This is it. I've made it. I am, living full time on music money, right? So I worked full time strictly for myself, self-employed since 2019, and then only recently got back into like the workforce because I felt like there was too much pressure on the music and it had kind of dulled my creativity a bit. But getting back into the workforce, I was like, am I giving up on my dreams if I go and be an employee again? But I realized like that was just not a good perception to carry, right? I've definitely felt both, like I said, where it's like, damn, I made it. I'm living the dream. And other times where I'm like, damn, this ain't it. Like, did I waste my time? But ultimately, I really try to just, live every day like, yo, this is the dream. I'm living the dream. Look at all that I've created and how far I've come. And not get too hung up on expectations or that end result, that outcome.
Exactly.
Just focus on, Will Smith, he says, just focus on stacking one brick a day as great as you can, as perfect as you can. And as the years go by, you'll have built this perfect wall, right? So we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. So for me, every day, like my music career doesn't just rely on what I do in the studio. It relies also on what I do outside of the studio. Am I doing my spiritual, practices enough? Am I exercising enough? Am I getting out and socializing and spending enough time with family and going out and living my life?
Yes.
Because all of that is going to help me
to make right?
the music that I want to make,
music,
right? So
those beautiful quotes.
Yeah, wow. 10, 15 years from now, let's say I didn't gain a single new listener.
Right.
Sure, I'd be hella disappointed.
Exactly. Because some people, when they make music, obviously the majority of people, the mindset is to make it big, to be, selling out arenas and stuff like that. Some people have that goal in their terms, but fast forward to 20 years after and they haven't reached that goal yet. That's why I ask if they see that as a failure, or do they see that, okay, they've gotten to that point, they've got to that, to that level, and they've done it for that long, so it's a win for them. So I never really know how to put
For me, I feel like I constantly am like discrediting my accomplishments for sure. It's a bad habit where I'm like, I'll get a dope achievement and be like, okay, what's next? And start climbing that next mountain before I've really even like celebrated myself. So I think having a balance is important. Like Dr. Dre is someone who still to this day doesn't even like how his voice sounds on his own records. But like, look at all that he's accomplished. And so he had a certain level of like dissatisfaction with himself, which allowed him to keep pushing, but sometimes slowed him down to a fault too. Like, how long are we waiting on this album? Right?
Sometimes I do that.
So having that balance is so important. And really, you gotta be your own number one fan. Especially if you got big goals like selling out arenas, like having that delusional level of self-belief is that it doesn't matter when it's gonna happen, but I know it's going to happen.
Man, that's heavy, man. That's heavy, man.
It doesn't matter when it's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, man, because look, people have, I know, we know a lot of artists who come here on this show, they work so hard, and the goal is to get to that point, man. But you know for a fact, you know, the position when you're in, the city when you're in, maybe the support probably that you're getting, sometimes doesn't show, you know, it doesn't show that goal's coming up. You know, some people hit that road right there and then they quit, you know?
For sure.
They stop music and then they go on vacation, they never come back, right? So I'm just wondering if that's something that, you know, they think about and then they don't know what to motivate them, what to think that will motivate them. That's why I asked you that question. If you can, you know what I'm saying, enlighten people out there, be like, and the good thing you said about it is taking one thing at a time and being your number one fan, your own number one fan. That's what I say. That's very huge. And
super
me
important.
As an artist, I definitely use that a lot.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
But you've probably fallen out of it too, where 100%. You're like, damn, like this isn't hitting the way that I want it to.
100%.
Or I'm not where I thought I'd be at this point in my life.
100%.
Right? But a lot of the time that we're discrediting a lot of the progress we've already made.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's why I asked you earlier too, what is music? Because some people need to know what music is for them. You know?
Yeah, I mean, music for me, music is life. It really is.
Yeah.
Like, show me one person in the world who doesn't listen to music. For real.
They have to be deaf.
And okay, but even then there's other ways of getting to experiencing it, right? Whether it's through dancing or feeling the bass.
They feel it,
right? Even then you're still I mean that's something I can't talk about because that's not part of my experience. But music helps everybody in this world at one point or another. Sometimes it can also do the opposite, depending on, you know, the quality of the message in the music, right?
Exactly, yeah. The quality of the message in music. We're gonna switch it up, maybe just a little bit. If you have any question left in this topic, right?
Before we finish that topic, I would try to identify where the problem can be, right? Because most of the time, the musicians we're talking about are indie artists, right? Long time ago, it used to be you perfect the art, and then you get into a label. And the label takes care of the business. Now we are into the time where you gotta perfect the art, and then you have to learn about the business. Now the question is, are these artists willing to learn the business? Because at some point you said you went to school, you learned music, but again, apart from just learning how to play and to mix and stuff, you also learn how to become a manager and how you can deal with the business side of the things. But most people who never went to school, don't you think that becomes a barrier, you know, for them to understand that, okay, this is how music business is run?
I truly believe that barriers are simply opportunities for growth. So a lot of it boils down to just your way of thinking and your perception, right? If you see something as something that's holding you back, then it's going to hold you back as long as you have that perception of whatever it is. But if you look at it as, oh, I can't afford to go to school, so I'm going to go over here, and maybe school isn't my lane. There's plenty of successful musicians and producers out there that didn't even complete high school.
Almost all the big ones.
So it's definitely a lot, right?
Oh, but have you seen the school that Michael Jackson went to? There's no one.
That is true, man.
So at the end of the day, like, life is, what do they say? Life is 10% what happens and 90% how you perceive it. So, I mean, of course, there are some very real limitations. Don't get me wrong. There's serious things that can happen in our lives that can really feel like they're holding us back.
Yeah.
But we got to figure out the best way possible to, you know, whether we've got to heal certain traumas or cut off relationships or find other means of learning if we can't go to school and stuff like that. Whatever we got to do. If I'm a bit of an idealist in that I really believe in the power of the mind, the power of manifestation, and you know, again, getting that knowledge to do what you want to do by any means necessary. And one of my mentors says, we all know the saying, knowledge is power, but they took it a step further and they said, applied knowledge is power. Because what is knowledge if we don't use it?
Yeah, that's the truth.
But that's a really deep question and a lot to unpack.
People need to
and I don't want to. I want to make sure people don't think like I'm minimizing their problems or their obstacles by just being like, oh, where there's a will, there's a way. Because like there's some definitely very real things that happen to all of us in our lives where we're like, maybe this path ain't for me, or maybe I'm just not cut out for this.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure there's a lot more artists out here that make it into old age and go, you know, I'm really disappointed with where music took me in my life. But maybe it's because they were doing music for the wrong reasons. And that's why I say let go of that outcome and the expectations of your outcome and end results, and get down to your why. Why are you really doing this? For me, of course, I want to be able to, you know, tour the world and sell out arenas and create meaningful messages that resonate with the masses. But if I'm unable to, you know, get my music out there, I always know that the reason I originally chose music, it was never to get rich and famous. It was because it was what I needed to do for me. And then almost as like a byproduct, almost as a byproduct of like choosing something for myself, I'm able to inspire and liberate others to chase their own passions. Maybe me chasing music doesn't even inspire other musician. Maybe it inspires that kid that always wanted to write his own book or her own book, but never thought that they could. So, you know,
this is a wild show, right?
I hope you at home, man, you stay in tune for this, because AARO is definitely giving us something very beautiful today, man. Just the understanding of music. People will go through tough times and they will need to rewatch and just listen to what you're saying, because if you listen carefully, you will understand what you're saying, man.
It's very deep.
People, the idea of music, you know, these days I feel like has changed a lot, and the pressure is even more because now things are going viral. You know, on everywhere things are going viral. You're like, how is this thing going viral? And what I'm doing is not going viral, so I'm gonna give up. You know, people have that mindset now, and they're failing to know why they're doing music in the first place. You know.
Yeah.
So that's why I really like what you just say, and I hope people at home are tuning in to know this.
And on that note of what you just said, like, there's more comparison now, probably more than ever, right? And so we're seeing other people reaching a certain level of success that we feel we desire, or maybe we feel we deserve, or we've worked hard to earn. But that's their path. That's not our path. And also, like, social media, that's a lot of smoke and mirrors too. We're only seeing everybody's highlights, but like
behind the scenes, like, you probably don't want their problems. You know what I mean? Like 100%. 100%.
You know, actually that reminded me of a saying that I really like, is that we all get to choose our own problems. To a certain degree, of course. There's certain things that are inevitable in life, losing loved ones and whatnot. But when it comes to a lot of our day-to-day problems that we face,
we chose them,
right? So somebody complaining about their boss, they applied for that job. So whose responsibility is it for them to either find a new boss or become a boss themselves?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight and you can fire your boss and tomorrow start making the same you were at your job. But it's possible. It's possible to slowly start making those changes. A lot of people think we got to make like big, massive changes in order to reach our goals. But really it boils down to like small changes followed through every single day. Right?
Yeah.
So
I want to know what type of music does AARO make? What category you most? You know what I'm saying? That's my game.
These
that's my
days,
right there.
These days lately, I couldn't even really define it, and I try not to box myself in like that. I definitely have like so much influence from across like most genres. Definitely, my passion lies in hip hop. 1000%. Nice. But recently I've started even like making pop tunes. And, you know, when it comes to my production or engineering bands, like I don't like to box myself in, and I like variety. So I like trying new things a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like, but at the same time, I also do like a certain level of structure and routine. And it's kind of just an ebb and flow of just like listening to my intuition of, okay, what am I going to create today? For sure, my own personal music is definitely rooted in rap and hip hop. But again, I like to, you know, branch out and try some pop stuff, try some R&B stuff. And when it comes to my production, I've even, you know, really, I don't even listen to, what I listen to mostly these days isn't even rap. I'm listening to like Afro beats, amapiano, reggae.
But that's the beauty about it, man. When you listen to all these genres, and then you're able to create some other difference. That's like the beauty structure of it. And that's music. If you all know, that's another definition of music right there. I want you to look at me in the eyes and just, that's the definition of music. Just building out, you know, in different kind of categories.
Yeah.
Major, what you got to say, man?
Cool. I know you stole him by taking him into the genre he makes, but I want to bring him back.
Just so people are watching, they're curious to know what kind of, because when I see him, the hat in the back, the glass, I'm like, this guy's dangerous.
That's good. We'll get there. So we announced today that you're coming to the show, and some young engineers tuned in, you know, because people saw your bio. It's like, oh man, we're going to get some stuff defined today, you know, because it's really hard to learn from YouTube because you don't get all the definitions, you know, properly defined and stuff.
A lot of false information.
Yes, the science behind sound and mixings and stuff like that. So I think you help people understand some of the stuff. Can we begin by telling the young engineers what type of equipment they really need in order for them to have a studio? Because some people still think having a studio is a big thing, you know?
Yeah.
And they walk into music stores and you know what happens in there. Most of the guys who work in music stores, then they have no idea even.
Yeah, I mean...
they just got hired, right?
even if you know the right things to search online, you might be hard pressed to actually find the information you need, right?
Yeah.
And that's if you already know what to type into that search bar.
That's the thing,
right?
Yeah.
So I think firstly, just understanding that it's a process and you're not going to get that like multi-million-dollar studio.
Yeah.
Just because you want it. You know, we were talking earlier. I didn't even have like no audio interface when I first started recording. I was using a pair of like gaming headphones with the mic on it. And I was recording my vocals on there. I would literally put it up to the guitar amp.
You are hearing now. This is where people
like,
start from.
What I always like to say is there's somebody doing more than you are with less than you have.
Yeah.
So I actually got into a really bad habit at one point where I was just in like full gear acquisition mode, which was dope because like getting new gear, getting new studio toys is super exciting. It can spark that creativity, but it can also hold you back if you're like, oh, I need this piece of equipment in order to do that or in order to get that result. You're just placing limitations on yourself that aren't necessarily there. Wow. Obviously, yeah, we need the basics.
Yeah.
We need a microphone, an audio interface, a computer. If we want to be, on our way to getting a studio, of course. So, what I would say to like young aspiring audio engineers is just start with what you've got and go from there. And like I said, just know that like you can, like, there are people literally sampling vocal recordings off of their phones and throwing it in songs that are going platinum. I'm not saying that's their lead vocal. Maybe it's a, sound effect that they've thrown in there. But if you've got a passion for it, get it by any means necessary. You know,
do whatever you can.
And just know that it's all building blocks. If we have this perfectly polished studio, the second after we dream it up, there's nowhere else to grow after that. Where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in that, right? So just enjoy that journey and be really I would say the biggest thing is be really specific and detailed about your goals, and then reverse engineer from there to figure out what kind of equipment do I need? What kind of mindset do I need to get to where I want to be? What kind of person do I need to be? And then work on those categories, and you'll surely get there as long as you stay, disciplined and, be graceful and kind with yourself too, and know that it's not just going to happen overnight. So, but
where should they start from? Like once they get the equipment, where do they start from? Just by listening to music or just recording whatever it comes,
Yeah, I would
what's
say
the flow?
Like study the people that inspire you, right? For me, I grew up listening to such a wide range of artists, and that's why my music is, I feel, so eclectic, because I would listen to, James Brown, Michael Jackson, Elton John, Phil Collins. My parents put me on like more classic rock, like the Eagles and Doobie Brothers and, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And so just listen to what inspires you and learn from, study them, study the people that inspire you, but don't necessarily try and mimic them verbatim, because you have your own voice, you have your own value and essence that you bring into this world, and that is so much more important and valuable than being a carbon copy of someone else.
Wow.
So,
yep.
Yeah. If you got true passion for it, just experiment and find. That's how you find your voice, really. We find what we like by a lot of the time first finding what we don't like, right?
People struggle with that too.
Beautiful. So I'm gonna run through some questions that I got from people, and then we'll get them answered and then quickly. Using headphones or monitors, which ones do you prefer? Like,
personally, I prefer monitors.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because I like to really feel. I like to feel the music, right? Monitors have a higher frequency range.
Yeah.
And so I like to feel that bass. I like to be able to get up and dance and.
But go carry on. It's a good connection we got.
That's me personally.
Yeah.
But that's not how I started out.
You started with the headphones, right?
I started out with like...
You had a headphone with the microphone.
Yeah, literally. The Turtle Beach headphones.
I guess now
it was probably even worse. Before that, I had like the Sonys that like wrapped behind your head. You know those ones? Oh. That like slid behind your ear and had that band that wrapped behind your head, like the Sony Walkman headphones. Wow. That's what I started with.
Have you ever tried to listen to them now? Like,
oh my God, no. I'll save my ears from that. Thank you. No, the first monitors I got though were these little like Sony like consumer products though too, that were just awful at the time.
But they would get you mixed pretty good though, didn't they?
I mean, I thought I was the shit back then, but if I went to listen to that shit now, I'd no, let's burn that hard drive.
Oh wow!
Can you give us what monitors do you use?
I have the Atom AT8 right now, or A8H. What is it? The Atom 3-way monitors.
The 3-way, okay.
Yeah, I think they're the A8Hs.
Okay.
A8H, I think, is the model.
Okay.
And they're pretty good. I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to whether you're listening in monitors or headphones, it's just about knowing your system and how it's going to translate on other systems, right? So if you know that your headphones don't have much in, the 2000 hertz, I'm getting kind of specific here, but let's say you know that like the snare drum doesn't really slap in your headphones, but your homie's headphones, the snare drum's hitting hard. Well, now you know when you're mixing on your headphones, if my thing sounded not that great in my snare didn't sound that great in my own headphones, but I went and listened to it in homie's headphones and it sounded good, like perfect, then I know, okay, this is right where I actually want my snare. It might sound a little quiet in my headphones, but across other systems, it's sounding good. So again, it's just knowing your own system.
Good.
And figuring out how it's going to translate to other.
But how much the room plays in that too? Like, having, obviously we're going to have monitors, but how much the room plays too?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to like recording and mixing and mastering, of course the room is going to play a role. And again, knowing the problems in your room, right? Yeah. Knowing where that sweet spot is in your monitors to listen to, and not trying to mix something in a small corner where it's all bass frequencies. So that's
the key right there, because sometimes I don't know much about it, but I know for sure when I stand, the guy in the back knows, when I stand behind the speakers, I had this moment where I stood behind the speakers, and it just sounds completely different. You're like,
it's bassy, right?
Yeah, it's bassy. It's a lot of vibe. I'm like, is this how mixing? That's how you're gonna aim for every time?
Yeah. So it's just
so like, I was right.
How come were you right?
I was right. That's all I gotta say. Please carry on the question.
So yeah, that's already clear. The other guy from the WhatsApp group said, most people think Pro Tools is the best for mixing and recording. What is AARO's thinking? Which one do we go with, like in terms of DAW?
I mean, personally, I use Ableton most frequently.
Beautiful.
Ableton is my go-to, but that's just because that's where my workflow is best.
Expensive, Ableton. I don't know why.
I don't think it's any more expensive than like Pro Tools, is it?
Yeah, now
it's all like subscription on Pro Tools.
Yeah, because Pro Tools is crazy right now.
But I mean, the most standard that you're going to come across is obviously Ableton in like major studios. Sorry, Pro Tools. Did I say Ableton? Scratch that. I meant Pro Tools. Pro Tools is going to be what you're going to find most commonly
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like the software we use is kind of, to a certain degree, subjective. And it's just about what you're most productive in, what you're most efficient in. You know, of course, we've got, you know, certain DAWs that are definitely higher up on that level of quality that you can get out of it. But I mean, we're even seeing like Fruity Loops now getting better with their recording side of things, or Native Instruments Machine is starting to get better with that. So again, it really depends what you're doing, what your goals are, and what you work best in.
Good.
And you're going to work best in whatever you focus on the most.
The other guy says here, Neumann microphone or SM7?
Oof.
I mean,
if we're talking vocals, personally, I actually have both. I've got Neumann and I've got an SM7B in my studio.
Good.
And if we're just talking strictly personal preference,
for you,
I would say
which microphone you want. Big, that's yours.
I would say Neumann. Personal preference, I'll go with the Neumann, like a U87 or a TLM 49.
Great.
That's just my personal preference. As far as the technology behind it, I couldn't tell you.
Is it like a warmth or clean or anything like?
And every voice is gonna hit different on the same mic, right? So it's about finding what is gonna complement your own vocals best. If you're singing, maybe the SM7 is a better option than a Neumann. If you're you know, if you want more
interesting one right there.
Yeah, so it really depends on. I would say test out, if you're looking at buying microphones, go somewhere where you can test them out and ABC them and be like, okay, and somewhere where you can hear back the recordings and be like, okay, I like my voice the best on this. And don't just go on there and talk. Try singing, try rapping, or whatever it is you do. Try a bunch of different stuff and be like, okay, well, I liked how I sounded singing on this one. But rapping, I sounded better on this one. So
good.
But for me, I'll say Neumann, hands down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
That's a good one.
2 more questions. One says, do I really need a preamp? And if yes, what does it do in a studio?
Do I really need a preamp?
Yeah, mic pre.
I mean, it depends on your mic. I would say, eventually, get yourself a preamp.
Good.
Even if it's just like an analog emulator in the box, right? So I would highly recommend going with Universal Audio.
Oh, the UAD,
Like you don't even have to get a full rack mount. Go and get the Solo or the AARO, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's called the AARO. Yeah.
So go and get that, and that's a great place to start if you've got the budget for it. Otherwise, even the Focusrite, they've got great preamps built in there.
Yeah.
But for sure, you're gonna need a preamp.
Then what does it do for those who don't know? Like, because they hear preamp, like, what is it?
A preamp essentially is gonna boost your audio signal, right? Good. So it's gonna give you that nice crisp, essentially lower your floor or raise your floor noise of your microphone. Yeah. So if your mic's coming in really quiet, you can't figure out why, I'm cranking the gain on my input, but it's not getting loud enough. Then, go and get yourself a preamp. And some preamps also have like EQ built into it. You can do, low cut roll offs and stuff like that. And
man, I love it.
Fine tune your sound.
He knows it all, man.
Now you know that when you go record in the studio, they gotta show you these things.
Oh, 100%, man.
This is one of the reason why we do these shows, to help people understand. Okay, why this? Because you see these beautiful things in the studio, you don't know what they're there for.
Most of the stuff in there, you're not even like touching anyways.
They don't even use it. Like, why do you have it?
That's beautiful, man.
It's kind of crazy. The other question is tricky. What's the difference between a sound engineer and an audio engineer? Or is it the same thing?
Same thing. In my opinion, yeah.
Okay.
Sound and cool. I mean, unless they're referring to like sound designer. versus audio engineer, then that's a different thing. But sound engineer, audio engineer, I would say it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Okay, cool. So my own question, when do you tell that the mix is done? Like, when do you say, okay, enough, I'm done?
You know what? It's tough. It's tough because like there's always more that you could add or take away from something. So I think it's just a matter of just saying, okay, I've reached that like standard of notoriety as far as the quality. I've got the effects that I want. My voice and the instrumental is sounding how I want it to. It's kind of just a feeling. And then also the art of just like letting go and being like, yeah, I could keep on mixing this forever. And it'll never be done. I could sit here for another 8 hours mixing this and it's going to sound worse off than when I started. So it's just a matter of like understanding that, you know, there's a certain level of quality you want to reach. And once you've got there and you've translated your expression in the way that you wanted, send it off. And on to the next one.
We just that same thing. I think this is gonna help more people too, especially
myself too, man. I've been sitting on so much stuff.
Me, man. Yes,
you know, but that's a good thing. Like having enough passion that you want things to like hit a certain quality is important. But like chasing perfection, perfection is just another form of procrastination at the end of the day.
I think even Kyle is gonna be getting something from this question.
Shout out to Kyle, man.
What do you do when you spend all your hours on a song mixing, and then you send it to the artist, and just to hear them saying, "Bro, I feel like the rough mix is sounding better." What do you do as an engineer?
Man.
The first thing is probably I'll ask them what did they like about the rough mix more. You got to figure out what it is.
I like the vibe. I feel like the bass is boomy.
So then you also got to figure out what is the artist listening to it on. Are they just like referencing on some AirPods? Or are they listening on a good system? Are they listening in their car? Another thing you got to take into consideration is every car has its own like EQ setting and stuff like that. Maybe they have their like EQ in their car, their treble turned way up or their bass turned way up. And they listen in their car and they're like, oh, I really like this. But then the mix you sent off, they listen to the rough mix in the car and they've got their EQs cranked or something like that. It's really bright. And then they go and listen on another system and it's not going to have the same effect.
But do you consider that they listen to the other songs too in the same car, same settings?
Let's say it's all same system, same everything, and they're like, I like the rough mix more. I'm going to figure out what it is that they like more about it. Go back to the drawing board and try and bring that out more, right?
Wow, that's beautiful.
So another thing that's important is knowing like what style they want mixing in. A lot of people think that mixing is like very cookie cutter and like, doesn't matter what quality my recording is, the mix engineer can like polish it up and make it sound amazing. But mixing, much like the audience's like opinion of a song, mixing is very subjective as well. And like you can mix the same recordings in the style of hip hop or the style of pop and they're going to give a different vibe.
That's the truth, yeah.
So it's like, what kind of style does your client or does the artist want? And then, you know, mix in that style.
Nice.
What's a good, if an artist need to know about this, what is a good time limit? Oh, this is a good important question.
Of holding on to a song? Is that what we're talking about?
Of allowing the mix and master engineer to work on your song. What's the good amount limit that they can go? Feel like, okay, I've had this much time, I can now plan on releasing music.
I think consistency is definitely important. So not holding on to something for too long. I definitely have a bad habit of like holding on to something for way too long. And then
that's you personally, right?
Yeah, me personally, like I'll hold on to stuff because I'm like, let me get this just right.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm so busy that like sometimes I just like put it to the side. But sometimes we hold on to stuff for so long and then it loses that feeling for us.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't have that like novelty anymore, right? So getting stuff out while it's still somewhat fresh is super important for sure. Wow. I would say try and keep it to like 3 to 6 months max. Otherwise, like the mix should be done after 6 months, right?
It's very disappointing.
Yeah. 3 to 6 months, I would say, so that you're still able to keep the novelty of the song.
It's good.
And not like not overdo the mix either. Like really realistically, how much time do we need to mix a song? Like realistically, like you don't need to spend more than 24 hours banked like mixing something.
Because some artists come out, man, is my song ready already, man? Man, I've been waiting for too long, you know? So I was like, what amount of time do they need to know that a mix and master engineer needs this certain amount of time to actually be like, okay, I have enough time to work on this, so I shouldn't be pressured to have like, okay,
generally speaking,
give me a song,
like
2 days, let's finish my song.
I would say on average, like what I would like to see, let's say I'm going and hiring another engineer to do my stuff. I want that stuff like mixed, mastered within 2 to 3 months, I would say. Within 2 to 3 months, unless we're like experimenting and like I want to try something new. But like I'll still even be making changes like up until like the day it's like the last mastering day. I'll be like, yo, you know what? I actually want to go and like adjust the snare or add some effects here. Like I'm not afraid to make big changes even up until that like final stage. Which can be tough for some people because it's like, oh, I just made these crazy huge changes. Now I need to sit on it long enough to know that I'm actually still going to vibe with it. Right? So
interesting. Wow.
Find what works for you. But if you're trying to like be consistent and, you know, I always prefer quality over quantity for sure. But in this day and age, we got to have quality and quantity. So you got to keep things moving.
Exactly. Man, you know, every producer have their rules, you know. Most of them don't really say it, but they have it. What's AARO's rule of producing on recording? If an artist comes to your studio, what do they have to follow? The steps, what do they have to make sure they understand and they listen to those things and not break them, because that's very important to you?
I would say like don't show up to the studio ill prepared. Like
number one.
So
I'm writing lyrics
I mean that's okay. No. But sometimes that's okay. Like
it's more inspiring sometimes.
Sometimes it's a vibe getting into the studio and getting to write in studio. Yeah. Like I was just down in Detroit and I did that. Like I didn't even know what songs I was gonna work on when I was down there, and I had this one song where I had the hook recorded up here. And I had the verse written and I had rehearsed it enough that I knew I could get in there. I didn't have to read it off a phone, so it wasn't going to sound scripted. But I hadn't even started writing the second verse. Yeah. And then we decided, oh, we're going to work on this song while I was down there. And so I literally spent like, and shit's expensive down there. Yo, I spent like, it was $100 an hour, my studio time. Ooh. And I literally spent like half of one of my sessions just writing. Didn't even finish the verse because I was like, I'm coming down here. I'm spending the money. I want to make sure
American dollar, right?
That's American too, yeah.
It should be clear.
Right. And, but I was like, at the end of the day, for me, it was like quality over quantity. So I'm not just going to like put out some verse that I'm not happy with. So let me take my time, get it right. Went back to the Airbnb, finished writing it there, rehearsed all throughout the night. Definitely didn't get enough sleep. And then get back to the studio the next day and record it the next day. Sorry, what was the question? It was like
your rule. I want to know the rules of when you're recording. What artists also follow, so they can interact.
So I would just say like, be as prepared as you can. If you're a vocalist, like warm up your vocals before you're hitting the studio. You know, if you're on a budget, which most of us are, I'd recommend writing your lyrics before you get to the studio and having them well enough rehearsed that you're not having to read off your phone. If you are, that's okay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Most of us do that. But yeah, just try and be prepared. And then also I would say, find somebody that you can vibe with to work with. You don't want to be getting in the studio and just like not be vibing with your engineer or something like that, because that's going to hinder your own creativity as well. And then also be open-minded when you do find somebody that you respect and appreciate working with. Be open-minded to getting input and feedback. And sometimes it's okay to, take that feedback and be like, no, that's not right for me. I'm going to do this. But at least like take it with a grain of salt and be like, you know what? You might be right. Maybe if I make this adjustment, it could, it could actually help the quality of the song or the vibe, right? So being open-minded, I think is huge. Open-minded and coachable, right? But you got to put yourself around the right people. You don't want to just be coachable by anybody, because then you're going to be getting the wrong information. I love it. So.
Wow. Major, what's up? What you got to say about that? I know you were coming at me on those.
I'm getting toward the end of my questions.
Yeah.
But definitely, this is one of my best show.
100%.
Not only because it's in my field, but because of the way you are really putting things together. Yeah. It's really enjoyable.
I appreciate to listen to. It means a lot.
And I think we'll go back and listen to this and learn a lot from this. Personally, I will learn a lot from this.
Me too.
Respect. I appreciate you guys.
I would like to know, even though if you cannot put it like the truth, like personal, but based on what you have as experience, how much do you think just a starter, somebody who's just beginning, a beginner engineer, should charge for mixing and maybe mastering?
Just starting out? Like never mix a song in their lives?
If you can give us like a beginner, intermediate, and then advanced, how much do you think they should charge for mixing?
I mean, you got to start out somewhere.
Yes.
Do it for free to start.
Okay.
And that might be an unpopular opinion. And you can get a little bit of resentment if you're not charging what you feel you're worth, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, in order to get that experience, sometimes you just gotta take what you can get, and you might not be getting paid what you want to be paid, right? But you've got to get that experience, and so you can get that credibility, right? So if you're like starting from ground zero, just get that experience.
Yeah.
And then, slowly you can be open-minded and work with different budgets and just figure out, what's the budget of artist X and Y, and be flexible and understand that, okay, like you want to make sure that you're bringing value at the end of the day, bringing more value than what your client feels they're paying for.
That's true.
And that's how you're going to actually create a more sustainable career, is that you're constantly bringing more value than what people are paying for. So I would look less at the dollar amount and more at how much value am I bringing, and what would I be willing to pay for this kind of value realistically, not just because it's money going in my pocket, but realistically, what would I be willing to pay if somebody else were providing the same level of value? And got to be honest with yourself, not like blow up and say like, oh, I'm giving so much value. It's like, you got to be honest with yourself and be like, sometimes I might make suggestions to a client that might not be the right idea. I always try to not come in with an opinion, but what is going to ultimately elevate the song. It's not about what I like or dislike. It's about what's going to make this song the best it can be.
Oh man,
that's beautiful. But if you, let's say for example, you're a producer.
He wants a dollar amount.
Because this is this is my time now.
Yeah.
This is key.
So
this is key.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I think what you were explaining was if somebody was an engineer.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about a producer.
Oh, a producer.
Somebody who brought their ideas into the song too, right?
Right.
They are still beginners, but at least they brought their ideas. Because I might be a beginner producer, But maybe I started playing piano when I was 5 years, right? That's music I've been doing for years and years. And that background is what helped me to bring more ideas to your songs.
For sure.
So how do you think the producers should claim their right to the song? Do they also do it for free because they are just beginning? Or they should really claim what's their right?
I mean, if we're talking about like you, for example, you've been playing piano for a really long time, but you're just stepping into production.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So you've got huge experience in piano, right? So obviously you're going to bring a different element than I will. I stepped away from piano and I went into drums, and it was more on the engineering side of things. So you're going to bring a different kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it's important to look at our, I guess, combined experience of the journey, right? Like when I'm charging somebody in production or engineering, I'm not just looking at the gear that I've got in the studio right then and there. I'm also looking at, okay, how much have I invested into this with my own time to learn my tools and my skills, right? So, you know, I think you got to be fair to yourself and be like, okay, like what's realistic for what people can afford and what I need to put food on my table, and then find a happy medium, you know?
Good. But do you think they should give you any kind of right, like royalties and stuff like that as a producer?
As a producer, yeah, usually, yeah. Like, don't sell your exclusive rights. As long as you're not selling your exclusive rights, then yeah, take a cut of those royalties. Contracts are really important.
So it has to be defined before, because it's really hard to tell some artists like, okay, you know what, we're working on this. The money you paid is for the studio.
Yeah.
Now I need, you know, maybe 40% or 30%. They'll be like, huh? The money I paid you already.
Okay, so if we're breaking down like actual percentages from a producer, like if you're strictly a producer, what I've seen, and I can only speak on like the experiences that I've had and what I see, is generally a producer is looking at maybe, you know, 5 to 10% at most.
Okay.
Right? Because you also got to understand that, like, let's say it's one producer and one artist. It can't just be 50-50 unless the producer is matching the budget of the artist when it comes to marketing and promoting and paying half of studio time and all of that. If you're not charging for the production up front whatsoever, no flat rate, and you make a deal with an artist and say, hey, I really like working with you, then essentially you become like an artist-producer duo, and it's a collaboration where a true collaboration is both investing into something, right? So if you're looking at it from a collaboration standpoint, then you can look at higher royalties. But if you're looking at it from a producer standpoint, I'm just looking to sell beats, then you shouldn't really be looking for much in the way of royalties. You know, but you can definitely, I would say, have it in the contract where, like, you know, I'm selling you this beat, but it's not, it's exclusive in the sense that I'm going to sell it to you as an artist and only you. No other artist will get this beat. But I'm not selling my creative rights to it. I'm not selling my copyright to it. So
that copyright is what you mean, the 10% or the?
Yeah. So you can say, like, you can have in the contract where it's like, I want 5% of the royalties of this song. Or you can say, 5% of, this is just like an example. 5% of the royalties for the song. And should the song get signed to a major label, then I need, you know, minimum of 1%. Right? Because you don't want to be like scaring the artist away and going, oh, he's trying to steal my masters. Right?
This man trying to get me caught up.
But it is also important that we get a slice of the pie too, especially if you've put in all this work to produce a beat and then it gets signed by a major label. Now this artist isn't even putting their own money into it. It's backed by a major label. and they're the only one eating, like that ain't tough. Right that's either, tough. Right?
Yeah, that's tough. We're gonna have to end this. But sure. quick something real quick. I just want to shout out one guy, man, who's been helping us a lot.
Yeah.
Man, I don't want to forget this guy, man. It's been huge in just getting us guests here and giving us opportunities to talk to a lot of people. Greg Jerome, man, I want to shout out to you, Greg Jerome, for just amazing. He once again he's
shout killing, out Greg.
He's killing in his music. He's killing in his music. He's killing in dancing. He's just about to go and hybrid dancing, man. He's killing in that too. So shout out to Greg Jerome for just an amazing contribution on this podcast, man. And also his music. If you haven't checked him out, go ahead and Instagram Greg Jerome. His guy, his music killing out there too. So shout out to our guy. But and anybody who's been interested, just get to know Aaron and how he works and his way his music studios is. Because we know people are going to be asking questions.
Of course.
I want to record this guy with every knowledge he has behind music, everything he's given us in this show. I know for sure I definitely want to work with him in the near future because everything is just beautiful. So, and if you are wondering where to find Aaron, like a tradition, you know what I'm saying? This tradition, we always give our guests time to introduce themselves and then let them know where to find them and their work craft and everything. So we're going to give time to Aaron to just give us where to find you, man. And I want to know where to find your music. I want to know where to find your work. So we can listen, we can join in your work, in your project.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
So that's AARO, AARO. Unfortunately, with like search engine optimization, sometimes it can get a bit tricky out here. People look up my name and like Aaron Carter will pop up or some shit like that. So no lie. It's been a problem. But yeah, go and search on Spotify, or I say go and get Tidal. Not enough people are on Tidal. That's a whole other topic for another time. But find me on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Tidal, AARO. The socials is at It's AARO. Lots of new music coming up for you artists looking to get in the studio. It's lucidvibes.ca. You can drop us a line at on our website or at connect@lucidvibes.ca if you're looking to come and record. We got the studio out in Coquitlam. I'm always looking for hot new artists to work with. Just be willing to invest in yourself, because at the end of the day, this is a business, and as artists, we are a business, and you got to be willing to invest in your business. But with that being said, find Lucid Vibes in Coquitlam. Come and record. We got a great studio out there. It's been a lot of years in the making. And I promise I won't leave you guys waiting too much longer for more new music. And side note, I actually got a podcast coming up too. Ooh, wow. It's been 2 years in the works. I've been like writing episodes and finally just started recording some episodes. And the podcast is called Sound Mind Sanctuary. So actually just created the YouTube page for that the other day. So go and hit subscribe if you can find that, Sound Mind Sanctuary. And lots coming up in the near future.
How do we do to be your guest?
Oh, you know what?
How do we book that? I was still like...
As of right now, I'm undecided on whether it's going to be like fully a solo endeavor. I think I'll probably bring some guests on eventually.
Good.
But it's really different than like what I'm used to. I'm really going like more on the spiritual tip of things with this podcast, and it's like mindfulness and meditation and navigating the what it means to live this human experience as a spiritual being, which we all are. I want to remind everyone we're not human beings. We are spiritual beings living the human experience.
Wow.
So
man, that's powerful. You throughout the day, throughout the night, the show, you just been giving quotes left and right. And the guy in the back definitely gonna get you that on that, man. We got like at least 10 of your quotes. So
perfect.
It's coming up, man. But what an energy in the building, man. What an energy in this show.
Yeah.
And you definitely got his heart today, for sure. I've never seen him so sparked up with the questions. And
love it.
Feeling the vibe, yeah. And I hope everybody at home watching felt this vibe, because, Aaron got some stuff coming up. Check him out, you know what I'm saying? You want to learn about him, want to work with him, DM him and everything, just say it. But it's been one hell of a show, and we would like to end it here. Thank you guys for tuning in, and once again, I would encourage you guys to go on, subscribe to the channel, and tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe and bring more guests out here. Whoever wants to talk about their business, their projects, we're here for that. You can reach out to OC Music on Instagram, and then we're going to get booked, and then we're going to talk, we're going to chat, man. But thank you for tuning in. On my right side, we got Major Mugisho, my guy right there. All love, man, and the one and only AARO as well in the building, man.
My guy.
Give us a crazy
Thank you guys
show.
so
we
much.
Appreciate you so much for being out here, man. Thank you guys for tuning in, AFRODIASPO Nation. We are out.